For the player character controller, we could base a lot of our code off of this right through here. At least for the beginning part, getting started. But one of the elements that's actually kind of an issue with this is the input get jump button. It's currently not really in the right place. And if you remember that, again, if I'm playing, if I decide to run and jump, I can't do anything in the air. My character's stuck only in that last velocity direction, left or right, that the character was in before he left the ground. So what we need to do is try to figure out a way to actually make it so the character, when he's in the air, can actually jump and then move around while he's in the air. So getting started with, let's go ahead and just delete the code that's here. Let's focus on just recreating this set of code. So we'll start off with our update. Oh, I think we've already got one there, so we'll do this. So with the update, let's just start off by saying that we are still going to use the speed, the jump speed, and the gravity. Alright, now the words themselves will probably wind up changing down the road, but at least for the first part, we'll have those. And then we also have another one. This is going to be our private vector, private variable. This is going to be a vector 3, and we're setting it to start with to 0. Now remember, if you recall what a vector was, a vector holding like just a number. If you have a vector 3, it can hold an x, y, z value for you. What we want to do is have the variable move direction. This is going to be a type of vector 3, and it's going to start off by storing all the numbers inside as zeros. Alright? So the move direction, this is going to be how we control our character moving left and right, up and down, forward and backward. Okay, so inside of our update, let's just start fresh again. This is one of those things, again, like if you were writing this on your own, have like a copy of the old controllers one, and have a copy of that up there so you can stare at it. But try not to just play around so much where it becomes really messy, but really think through what you're trying to get at. So for instance, on this one, what we wanted from the beginning, of course, was our variable controller. So we had that variable controller we were calling up, and we were setting as the type as the character controller. And the first thing we did was get the component. So our component, get component. The get component option was the character controller. And remember, this is based on our character controller assigned to the character right here, character controller. So we're making sure that we have access to it by way of calling controller. Alright, so inside of here, let's just continue with this. First thing we want to do is we're going to do one that's called using the character controller. It has an option for checking whether or not an object is actually on the ground or whether it's in the air, and it's called is_grounded. If you notice, the is_grounded option was the character controller touching the ground during the last move. So when we're working on the option for jumping, we have the option to say, is the character in the air or is the character on the ground? Alright, so right here we're saying that is the character grounded. So if character grounded is true, meaning that he's actually touching a collision box, he's not going down, he's not up in the air, then we want to be able to do a set of controls with him while he's on the ground. So what does the character typically do when they're on the ground? The standard idea behind a character on the ground would be that the character can walk left and right, the character could crouch, the character could die on the ground, they could shoot on the ground. So you can have a lot of different options for how they're going to be behaving. Our initial one that we're going to work with is just simply having the character being able to move left and right while they're on the ground. So inside of here, let's go ahead and just call up our move direction. So remember, our move direction, just X, Y, and Z. That's all we're calling this up for. So we're going to say move direction is going to be equal to a vector 3. We can't make it a vector 2. We can't make it a vector 4. We can't make it just assigned to a single variable. If you're going to call up the full move direction, you're calling up the full vector 3. So we'll have it assigned to a vector 3. And it's going, the vector 3, let's go ahead and make it so that it moves left and right. So the axis for left and right is going to be X. So we'll say input.getAxis. Now, let's make sure we understand get axis. Just in case you don't remember, if you haven't used it much, is that the get axis allows you to actually define a property for a game controller. It also allows you to define it through the input area. So, for instance, in your edit, you can go into your project settings and you can go to input. Input is going to show you actually what's available to you inside of here for your type. So, for instance, if I have horizontal, horizontal can be assigned to the left and right mouse buttons. It can be assigned to the left and right arrow keys. You could then reassign horizontal again, and you can make those available to your joystick axis, and you could say it's going to be on the x-axis that it's moving. You could assign the horizontal again to a Wii controller, and you could assign what direction and which buttons are available on the Wii controller, on the 360 controller. So when you start using inspectors, when you start using the input, this is going to allow you to define one word. So again, horizontal, and you could even you could define these a little bit more in the description definition name. But this could be for each type, and all I have to do is call up horizontal. So for instance, on the get axis, I could go over here and just say horizontal. And you'll notice horizontal being the same name, capital over here, capital over here. So as long as I call up this name, I have the ability to use a joystick, a keyboard, a mouse, whatever I want that has the properties within it of the horizontal. So we'll take horizontal on the X, then we'll just do a 0 and a 0 for the Y and the Z. Alright. So with this one, we're taking our first move direction. We're saying that if we push a key the left or right, so if we use the arrow keys left or right, that it's going to move to the left or right. Alright. Now, at the same time though, let's go ahead and do another move direction. Now, we're going to actually make this direction be a transform, and it's going to be a transform direction. So if you notice in the transform direction, it's going to transform direction from local space to world space. So this is going to take the object's, this character's local space. So again, there's a global and a local. It's going to take the local space direction and transform it into world space, I believe. Let's double check on that one. Let's see what that was said again. Yeah, it'll take it to world space. So we'll go ahead and take this to a world space, and then we'll place in our movement direction. Now, this is going to be similar to what they currently have. We're going to change it up a little bit down the road, though, so it makes it a little bit easier on us. So the move direction, we'll go ahead and multiply this by itself times speed. Alright, now, this move direction times move direction is going to equal move direction times speed. Speed at the moment is set to 6, so it's going to be moving at a pace, for instance, for the speed, if you have a 6 meters per second. So if we have this moving across, we have our speed going for us. Now, let's go ahead and go for just this for the moment, okay? We have movement. So let's go ahead and take from the movement part of it, let's do one other thing. Let's go ahead and set up our last part. The move direction, we're just going to grab the Y. So when you're wanting part of a vector, you can actually grab X, Y, or Z. Well, the only one that we're currently checking on, we have a Y for gravity going down, and then we have a move direction going left and right. So let's go ahead and start off with that move direction.y. We're gonna subtract it from gravity, and then we'll just multiply the whole thing by delta time. That way we move at a smooth frame rate. And then the next part that we want to do is just create, we want to use the controller, and the controller has a move option. Remember we had the simple move and the more complex move. This one is going to be more of the complex move. It's going to allow us to assign gravity separately. It's not going to have it automatically assigned for us. So we'll do move, and then for the move option, what it needs inside of the move is going to be a move direction, and then we'll multiply it by time delta time. Alright, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit. We're just rewriting the code so you can see it, but the when we start looking at what they're doing and how they're doing, it'll start to make more sense for you. The move option, though, let's jump back into the script that we had. The move, what it was looking for right here, your move for the function was looking for parameter that was going to be a motion, which is a vector 3. Well, we have a vector 3, so that's what we're assigning into it right here. Alright, so if we have it right there, we'll go ahead and save this. And let's see, let's go ahead and play this one for a moment. Alright, so it's going to say that we need a couple of things before we can actually make it happen. So let's just go to the top here. And it's just telling us that at line 23, we need to make sure that we have it set up properly. So let's just take out the parentheses right there. Save. And we'll double check. Should clear it all. Alright. So when we play, the character should fall. We should have horizontal control, which means we should be able to move left and right with the character. Okay. None of the other keys are going to be available to us at the moment because these are the only ones assigned. If you notice again the horizontal, this is actually defining left and right movement based on whether it's a positive direction or negative direction being pushed down. Alright, so we've got that. We'll go ahead and stop this one at the moment. Now let's go ahead and add into it one more additional element here. We've got our basic move direction, but at this point we could actually add in some jump to it. So if we do an input, we're just going to do a get button. Now the get button is similar to the get axis, is actually looking for your edit input option, which means that you can define a word for jump, and you can use jump inside your code. So we'll just say for this one we're going to do a get button. So the get button option, we're going to say that if this button is pushed, which we'll call it jump, I believe, let's double check. In your project settings and input, you should have a jump option. So we've got a jump here, and we have a jump here. For the joystick that we're using, at least the one that I'm using, is a Logitech one. The button type is 1, which will fall in line with the way the Mario Brothers jump button is placed. It may be different for the 360 though, so if you're using it, just be sure to change the jump button to whichever one you need. The other jump option here is actually set to the space bar, so the space right there. Alright. So for this we have jump, and then inside of the jump we want to set up what we want it to do. Alright, so for jumping, if we're actually going to jump, we want to take our move direction, and we're just going to take the Y, because that's all we actually need of it. So remember, we're just taking the Y, and we're going to make it equal to our current jump speed. So our jump speed up here right now is 8, so it's going to equal jump speed. We'll just do regular jump with their regular jump height. For this one, if we go ahead and save it, and we go back to the game, we press play. Alright, so if I was to push the spacebar, the character will jump. Now if I was to go in here and I was to actually put, say for instance, we have a higher jump, and we push 20, the character's going to fly quite a bit higher, is that if I jump, notice the number gets all the way up to 20, and he comes back down. So he's jumping much higher at that point. So if we wanted to have two different levels of jumps, we could easily just change. We could have a standard jump speed, and we could have a, if he's like a run jump speed, he could even have a crouch jump speed. Alright, so this one again, we'll just have him being able to jump, and he's able to move. Now again, he can't change direction. So if we want to actually change direction in air while he's actually going, let's add a couple other lines here. That way we can control a little bit more of that. So at the moment, the controller on the is grounded is only checking if the player is actually touching the ground. Alright, so that means that when I'm on the ground, that whatever moving I'm doing is being controlled. The moment I am off the ground, no movement is actually being checked. So in the if statement, when it goes back up to here and it says, is character on the ground, it says no, which means that I don't get access to my horizontal move, I don't get access to any of the other stuff right here. Alright, so if we want to have access while we're in the air, so that meaning that the player is no longer on the ground, we could do the following. We could say if not controller grounded. So if the controller isn't grounded right here. Alright, so if we have the character not controller grounded, let's go ahead and do a move direction.x. So again, this is going to be the left and the right. We could actually have an input on a get axis. And we'll just grab our horizontal again. So that means that when we're in the air, we are actually grabbing our move direction. We're just grabbing the left and the right movement, and we're just saying that if you're in the air, you can move. Alright? And at the same time, we want to go ahead and do this additional element. We can say that the move direction on the x-axis is going to be multiplied by its speed as well. And we could have a jump speed versus a walk speed. So maybe when you jump in the air, you're actually slower. You don't move as fast left and right as you do with your standard speed. So we could break that out into a separate one there. All right. So if we have that, we go ahead and save it. And if we go back into here, we should notice that when we decide to play it now, when we jump, we can actually move while we're in the air. All right. So it's an easy fix when you're working on this, but something just to remember is that, this for a first-time person going through, if you haven't played with a character controller, you don't really get what's being called up inside of each of these statements. You may sit there for a couple of hours trying to figure it out. Now, again, it would be a good thing is to actually spend the time try to figure it out. But just remember that when you're working through these, really think about what you're trying to get at. Is that I'd have zero access when I am in the air. When my character is not on the ground, I have zero access to anything right here. This doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is anything past it. So I have to create if my player is actually in the air, then let me write some code in and say this is what I want it to do. All right. So that's going to actually take us to the next part, which we could do is one little extra statement here, just so we can have an extra type of jump in it. If we want to have a combination of keys so that we can have a player not just jump single, but maybe we want to have the player have to push 2 buttons. So for instance, on the basic Mario game, you have to, if you want to jump higher, you have to run and jump. So we'll just make we'll set up 2 keys for it. We'll do a get button. Now this one we're going to do is just going to be a get button down. So we'll say get button down, meaning that you're just going to have to push jump 1 time. So we'll say get button jump. It means if the player has at least pushed the jump button, and if the player has pushed another button, and we'll just call, for this button, we'll just say that if the player is currently, what's one of our buttons for this? Let's see. So on the input, we have control. So we'll do the controls. We'll assume that these are going to be for left and right for running. Its current name is called fire. I'll go ahead and just leave it at fire, but eventually we'll want to change that into actually saying run. That way the code reads a little bit easier. So inside of here, we'll do, if on the input get button, we'll say that it's going to be, we'll do fire 1. Alright, so that means when we're reading the statement here, what we're basically reading is that we're going to say the on pushing the button down once and the the control button being held down, if those 2 things are true, then we'll do whatever's inside of this code. And for this one, let's go ahead and just add to it. We'll say move direction, and we're going to make the jump on this one. It's going to equal the jump speed. Continue on that. It's going to be the jump speed, and we'll just add to it. We'll say like the 20 on there. Actually, let's just add to, we'll say about 5. That way it doesn't jump all the way off the screen. All right. So when we go back in here to play, okay, when the character gets ready, we can move again left and right. Now if I'm holding the control, then when I push the jump while I'm doing it, we can actually just have him where he jumps up. There we go. So now he jumps higher than he did before. If I angle this out just so you can see how far he's going up there. There we go. So that jump based off of this jump. Alright, so that gives us both of those. Let's move this back over. And this is going to allow us to basically have a run jump, a standard jump, and our movement. Alright, and the jumps having control while you're actually moving them in the air.